France 24's chief foreign editor, Rob Parsons, has been keeping a close eye on this conflict. He joins me now for more on this. Rob, the ceasefire has been as short-lived as its predecessor, despite pressure from Russia and from France. Why does the international community seem so powerless to enforce its will on the ground?
I think really, Ginny, it's a question of incentive. We can see that the Armenians have got an incentive to bring this to an end, and they have been calling for a ceasefire. But it's not the case when you look at the Azerbaijanis. The Azerbaijanis have been making progress in 7 districts which were occupied by the Armenians in the war in the 1990s, which ended with the ceasefire of 1994. They have been demanding ever since that those districts should be returned so that the 600 or 1,000 or so IDPs from those areas, Azerbaijanis, can return. The fighting essentially is going on in those areas, and the Azeris are extremely unlikely, I think, unless enormous pressure is put on them, to stop fighting until they make significant gains. Unless President Aliyev can go back to the Azerbaijani people and say, look, it's all been worthwhile. We've regained the territories which we lost. And I'm not talking about Karabakh itself here, just about those 7 districts around Karabakh that the Armenians occupied in 1994. Unless he can do that, it would look like a defeat and will be humiliating. So he will keep going for as long as he possibly can, unless, of course, Turkey joins in the pressure on Azerbaijan, and that could change the equation. But for the moment, there's no sign that that's going to happen.
Rob, talk us through the human cost of this fighting, which has already been extremely high. What's the latest we're hearing from Nagorno-Karabakh?
Well, you're absolutely right. The human cost has been enormous already. The Nagorno-Karabakh Armenians say that they have lost over 700 men in the fighting alone. Obviously, many more wounded as well. But civilians have been killed in huge numbers, too, on both sides. In Stepanakert, the Karabakh capital, we've seen the Azerbaijanis using cluster bombs, which are banned by international law and are extremely destructive. We've seen the Armenians using artillery to bomb civilian targets in Azerbaijan itself, in Ganja, Terter, and other places in Azerbaijan. We don't know the exact number of people killed on the Azerbaijani side because they don't give figures for the fighting. But they do say that over 100 of their civilians have been killed.
Rob, that really is truly a devastating picture for a conflict that just keeps getting worse. We were talking earlier about this ceasefire that crumbled. What chance is there for any ceasefire that really holds or any kind of lasting peace?
Well, I think in the immediate, the Azerbaijanis, as I was saying, are not going to stop, I think, until they feel that they've made sufficient progress. And that really amounts to restoring at least those 7 districts. In the long term, if they make some progress, and President Aliyev can turn to his people and say, look, we've achieved this, the IDPs, or at least many of them, can return. And if they occupy, as they seem to be doing already, significant strategic positions in and around Karabakh. For instance, the north of Karabakh, they seem to have been making progress. And in the south, around the town of Hadrut, which is strategically important, they seem to have made progress. That will put them in a position to make real demands from a position of strength in any future peace talks. So I think the Armenians are going to find a changed picture. The key question, though, will be, will that be enough for both sides to sit down and talk seriously about the long-term future of Karabakh itself? One possible way out of it may be to come to an agreement in the immediate term on those 7 districts and to postpone a final decision on the future of Karabakh until the future, and to allow the international community to take control of Karabakh until a decision in the future is achieved. That would entail putting in an international force, presumably not Russian, because neither side want that, but an international force of peacekeepers. But is the international community prepared to accept that at this stage? It's not at all clear.
Rob, thanks so much.